everyone. I'm Melissa here, and welcome to your Melissa Moment. Hello, everyone. Melissa here. Welcome to your Melissa Moment, and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. You guys, this is the day I'm post-op already. Friday, I had my hernia repair surgery. So this is what I'm talking about today. If you're new to the channel, hi, welcome. Excuse me. A while ago, I was in the hospital with severe back and abdominal pain. And unfortunately, they never could figure out why. But doing testing to try to figure out the source of my pain, they came across that I had a hernia. It was very small. It showed up, I think it was a MRI, CAT scan. I can't remember what they did. Very small hernia that showed up called an umbilical hernia, basically very close to my belly button area. And it showed up saying, yeah, you have a small hernia. And they're like, we don't think that's the source of your problem. But to me, I'm like, okay, but you've determined that I have a hole in my body that should not be there. And I did not choose to put it there. So to me, that's something that we should probably take care of, right? Like that hole shouldn't be there. And at the time, I had spoken with the surgeon, and they said, you know what, it's really small. We don't think that's the source of your problem. Doing a surgery actually poses more risks than we think the reward would be, so we're not going to do anything for you. And that was kind of where they left it. And then after a while, the surgeon was like, I'll do a follow-up call with you later. I'm like, okay, fine. And we were actually in Las Vegas in November. And the surgeon called me saying, how are things going? And, I had told her when I met with her that, hey, I'm a weightlifter. Like I lift weights, and I'm not going to stop weightlifting, and the weights are just going to get heavier. And I'm concerned that over time, this small little hernia that you say I have is going to get bigger and going to cause more of a problem. And so when she called me, she's like, how have things been? And I said, well, nothing's consistent. Like sometimes I'll go work out and I have no problems. Other times I'll work out and I get like Charlie horses in my stomach and cramping and pain. But it's not every time. So it's not consistent. And right away she said, oh yeah, that probably is from the hernia. Yeah, I've been thinking about it. You're young, you're healthy, it's small. It probably makes sense to have surgery and repair it now. Because you're right, it's just going to get worse over time, especially if you're a weightlifter. So I'm like, oh, okay, great. So this was in November. I had spoken with the surgeon about her doing surgery. And at the time, she had estimated I would be going for surgery, early spring, like March, April. And then I got a letter in the mail saying, hey, your surgery is booked for January 5th. Okay. So obviously this video that you're seeing is a little bit later because I'm filming this earlier, but I had my hernia repair surgery on January 5th. So I want to talk to you about that. Now, as I'm filming this, it is currently January 7th. So I am 2 days post-op. So let me walk you through everything that happens. They've changed a few things from last time I had surgery. Now this would have been my 5th surgery that I've had in my lifetime. Okay. I am one of those weird people that I enjoy surgery. I like surgery. I'm not scared of surgery. I find it very relaxing. I like sleeping. I like it. It's weird. I know. I also, knock on wood, typically recover quite well from surgery. Don't usually have any complications or infections. Things usually go really well. So that's probably another reason why I like it so much. So in the letter, it said, hey, your surgery is scheduled for 9:40 a.m. on January 5th, Friday, January 5th. But they want you in admitting 2 hours early. So they wanted me at the hospital at 7:40. Okay. I'm like, really? Fine. So my husband had taken the day off work. My daughter was still off school because she was still on Christmas break. They dropped me off at the hospital. We were a little bit late. They were supposed to, I was supposed to be there at 7:40 at admitting. I probably was at admitting around 7:50. Okay, I was about 10 minutes late. So I went through admitting at 7:50. Now, my surgery was at Royal University Hospital in Saskatchewan. And typically when you go through admitting, they have like a big TV screen that tells you which number to go to through admitting because they have different desks set up with numbers, right? But I don't know if their TV wasn't working or what, but the girls there doing admitting, they would literally just put up their hands like, hey, next kind of thing. So, okay, great, your TV thing isn't working. That was fine. So get through admitting, no problem there. They gave me all my paperwork. They tell me where to go for day surgery. So I walked down to the day surgery because it was just day surgery. I walked down, and by the time I got to the desk, it was 8 a.m. Okay, 8 a.m. So I go to the desk. I hand them my paperwork. The nurse, you can tell, like I don't know, she's flustered, or I don't know. She just seems busy, and she's trying to do things quickly. And she takes my paperwork and she writes on it 8 a.m., which is the time I literally handed her the paperwork. And she goes, okay, we don't have a room for you yet. And it looked like literally there was no waiting room there. It was weird. There was no waiting room there. It was just like a bunch of rooms. And she goes, we don't have a room for you yet. So if you could just go back into like the main area of the hospital, and they had a Starbucks there. And she goes, if you could just go sit by the Starbucks and just stay close to here, we'll come get you when there's a room. I was like, oh, okay. Now, this bothered me on a few levels because number one, you told me to be here at 7:40. Okay, I was 10 minutes late. I was starting to feel bad, like, oh my God, I'm going to be late. They're going to hate me. And now you don't even have a room for me, number one. Number two, you don't have a waiting room. So now I have to go back into the main part of the hospital, sit by a Starbucks, which I love Starbucks, but guess what? I'm not allowed to eat or drink anything because I'm going for surgery. So you want me to sit by a place that smells amazing. You can smell the coffee. You can smell the breakfast. You want me to sit there. Great. Thanks. So now I'm sitting there. And I'm getting hungry because I'm smelling all of these wonderful Starbucks things, right? And I'm just like, this is great. Now I sat there, you guys. I sat there for over an hour. Okay? It was after 9 o'clock. After 9. I can't remember exactly when. I want to say it was like 9:15, 9:20 when they finally came and got me. So almost an hour and a half. I sat by the Starbucks. Fine. They came and got me. They take me into a room. Well, they didn't just get me. They called me and another patient. There was another patient. They called both of us at the same time. So we walked down with her. She goes, okay, one of you can go in this room and one of you can go in this room. So I went in the first room. Because I went in first, she went with the other patient to the other room first and gave the other patient all of the instructions first. Fine, whatever. So I'm sitting there waiting. And she comes back to me and she had like a little, the gown and stuff. She goes, okay, I need you to take everything off. Everything. Bra, panty, sock, everything comes off. She goes, and here is a gown, ties to the back. Here's a house coat. Okay. Here's little booties for your feet. Okay. And she gave me those. And she goes, here's a plastic bag. Put all of your personal belongings in this plastic bag. And then I will come back and I will go through all the paperwork. Okay, fine. So I do that. I also went and used the bathroom first. So I used the bathroom first because when I get like, I don't get nervous about surgeries, but anytime like I'm expecting something, like even if I'm meeting someone or I'm going like first time to a new place or something, I get nervous where I feel like I have to go to the bathroom all the time. So I'm like, okay, I better go pee now, right? So went and used the bathroom, then got in, took all my clothes off, got in the little gown and everything, sat there, everything was fine. I waited. The nurse came in. This one was a little bit nicer. She was just like, I'm so sorry for being late. I'm so sorry. Apparently, a lot of people called in sick. They were very short staffed. The surgeons were ready. Like the operating rooms were ready. The surgeons were ready. But because they were so short staffed in this, everything was behind. And like, I mean, I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, well, it's fine. Like, I'm here for surgery. There's nothing I can do about it. Getting upset isn't going to do anything. The only thing that really upset me was I had to sit by the Starbucks for an hour and a half, and now I'm hungry. That's the only thing that really bothered me. But I'm like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Like, it's all good, So we're going through all of my history, and she's asking me all these questions, and she's writing everything down, and all this stuff. Everything's good. Everything's fine. And my daughter is 8. And she had asked me because she just had a situation where she was in the hospital in Las Vegas. And if you missed that video, you should go back and watch it. So she's kind of curious about medical things right now. Like she is and she isn't, So she's like, because she had an IV. And she goes, Mom, are you going to get one of these things in your arm? I'm like, yes, they will give me an IV. She goes, well, can I see it? Can I watch it? And I'm like, oh, no, honey, I'm sorry, you can't come with me. I said, but, I'll see if they'll let me film it, right? Because the last time I had surgery, this is when they put my IV in, when I was in this little room waiting. And I had asked the nurse, are you putting an IV in? And she goes, oh, no, they do that in the operating room now. I said, oh, okay. So I was like, well, I can't take my phone in the operating room, so I guess I can't take a video. So I was like, oh, sorry, can't take a video, sorry. So that was fine. Once they gave me everything, did all the notes and everything, that was all good. She goes, okay, they'll come and get you when they're ready. So she said, you can actually come with me. So I had everything. They took me to a waiting room. So there was a waiting room there, but apparently it's only after you've gone through getting changed. I don't know. It was weird. So they take me to this waiting room. At least there was a TV there. And they have lockers. So they're like, okay, we'll put you in locker number 5. 5 is a good number for me. Like 15 is my lucky number. So 5 is good because, 5 is part of 15. It's a big thing. Anyway, so my surgery was on the 5th. My locker was locker 5. Like I got good signs happening here. I'm like, okay, great. We're doing good. She goes, here's your locker. When you're ready, lock it. Only the nurses have the keys to these, so you don't have to worry about anything. I'm like, okay, great. So I just locked everything up. She goes, you can keep your phone until they come get you. I'm like, no, I don't need it. Like, I'll just put it away. It's fine. So I put everything away in the locker, locked it up. It was on sports. I'm like, no, thanks. So like I grabbed the remote. I switched it to like Big Bang Theory, something funny to watch while I'm waiting for surgery, and I'm waiting. And the other patient they had brought in with me at the same time, they had gone through everything with her first. So I assumed she would have been ready way before me. But no, I was in that room before she was. So I went in that room, and then shortly after she came in the room, and I think it was her mother that was with her. And she looked a little younger than me, but not a child, but I don't know if this was maybe her first surgery or maybe she was nervous. I don't know, but she had her mom with her. I was by myself, whatever. So that was fine. So we're waiting in this room. And again, like, I feel like I have to pee, like, every second. I'm just like, so I'm like, I said to them, I'm like, I'm just going to use the bathroom if they come get me, just so you know. And she's like, oh, okay, right. So I go and, so I guess I just got to move a little bit. So I go to the bathroom and I go pee and I come back and I'm waiting. They didn't come and get me until like 9:40. Like my surgery was supposed to be happening at this point. But obviously it was going to be late. So, they come and they call my name, and she goes, hi, I'm going to take you up to the surgery ward. I'm like, okay, great. So we're walking and we walk. It was a long walk. So we're walking and we get to the elevator, and we were supposed to go up, I think, or down. I can't remember. We're supposed to go one direction, and the elevator went the other direction. And she was so like, oh my, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's okay. Hey, it's okay. I'm fine. Like, don't worry about it, right? Um, so whatever. She finally gets me to this surgical ward, and it was cold, you guys. Like, you gotta remember, I'm in this like little thin gown with plastic booties or paper booties on my feet, and I was cold. And I had mentioned, I'm just like, oh, it's really cold in this hallway. And she goes, oh, I'll get you a warm blanket. I'm like, oh, that would be lovely. So she takes me into this big area, and I'm sitting there, by myself, and she gets me this really nice warm blanket. So at least I've got a warm blanket. And there was another family kind of sitting across from me with an older gentleman. And from what I could overhear, it sounded like he was going for heart surgery. And he had his whole family there. There was like 6 of them. And they obviously were really worried, really nervous, because there was like, everything's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And it was just like, I'm like, ooh, like here I am just going for a hernia repair, and they're going for like open heart surgery. Like, geez. But anyway, they dealt with him and they wheeled him away. And so I'm sitting there, and it was so weird, you guys. Like, I'm in a hospital. You'd think there'd be tons of people, there was a moment that I'm in this very large opened room, and they have like the little curtains that you can pull to kind of section it. And they have chairs like all around the outskirts. And I'm the only one in this room. Like, there was no one else in this room with me. I'm sitting there, and they had pulled the curtains a little bit. So if you're walking, you wouldn't know I was there until you actually walked by me, right? And I'm sitting there, and there's no one in this room, and it is quiet. And for a moment, I had that feeling like I was in like a horror movie, and I'm just like, how am I in a hospital and I'm the only one in this room? It was so weird. But anyway, then people would come and they'd walk by, and they'd go through. I could hear the door open and people walk by, and I don't know if they'd even notice I was there, because I was just sitting there, and they just walked right by. And then finally, the surgeon comes over, and the residents, right? And the assistant or whatever. And they just go over things and blah, 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 and whatever, that's fine. And can you open your mouth? Because I want to check your airway, right? Because when you go for surgery, they put a tube down your throat to help you breathe. So they want to make sure that your airway is nice, and that you're not restricted in your neck, and they're not going to run into issues and all that kind of stuff. So they do all that. Everything's fine. And like, any questions? I'm like, nope, seems pretty straightforward to me. Because the last time I talked to the surgeon, she said, it looks really small. I can probably put a couple stitches in. You'll be good to go. Because I was trying to avoid putting a mesh in when you have a large hernia, which is an opening in your abdominal wall, because your abdominal wall is, what's the word? Thin or weak. Sometimes you get a hole, and that's what a hernia is. And if the hole gets big enough, then things start passing through the hole that shouldn't, like your intestines or your bowel, and that can cause problems. So when your hole's really big, they have to put in kind of like a mesh, because just trying to stitch it, it won't hold. So they need this mesh. It's kind of like when you're repairing drywall and you're patching, and you got to put like a little patch in, right? That's kind of what it's like. So as they're talking to me, they're like, yeah, so we have a couple meshes set aside, a small and a big. We won't know until we get in there. And I was kind of like, whoa, wait a second. When we talked, you had talked about just stitches. And she goes, yeah, that's still what I'm hoping for, but just in case it's bigger than it looked on the test, we have some meshes set aside as well. I'm like, okay, well, I'm hoping that you can just stitch it. And she goes, yes, that would be best case scenario. I'm like, okay, great. So that was fine. So they're like, okay, they'll come and get you in just a minute. I'm like, okay, great. So that's fine. And so like literally they were like, you know what, actually just come with us. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. So I'm like, do you want me to leave this blanket here or take it? They're like, it's up to you. I'm like, okay, I'll just leave it. It's fine. Because the blanket, it wasn't really that warm anymore anyway. So that's fine. So we're walking down the hallway past all the ORs, right? And they take me into this OR, and the surgeon actually has warm blankets, because that hallway was even colder. I'm like, oh, this is even colder. And the surgeon is behind me. She goes, don't worry, I brought warm blankets. I'm like, oh, great. So I get in, and if you've ever walked into an OR when you're the patient, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in there. There's, number one, bright lights. They've got a big table there, bright lights, and there's lots of people everywhere doing everything. And it can be a little overwhelming. So, and everyone starts doing things to you all at the same time. So you're there, you walk in, and they're like, okay, and like someone's undoing my gown because they want me to go on the table, right? Because they want you to go on the table with your gown open, because once you're under, I don't know if you knew this, you're naked. They take off everything when you're in surgery. They take it all off, you guys. They take it all off. They don't tell you that, but they take it all off. So they're like undoing my gown. They're like, okay, just get, bare bum, please get on your back. I'm like, okay. So I'm on there, and they're doing things, and I had already spoken with the anesthesiologist and stuff. Now this is where things went wrong. This is where things went wrong. Now, I vaguely remember the last time I had surgery, they had issues putting an IV in, or maybe it wasn't surgery. There was at one point they were giving me an IV and they had issues. Now, I don't know what, because I was always told I had good veins. I don't know if something's happened to my veins in the last few years or what, but there was the anesthesiologist and her resident. So, of course, it's a teaching hospital. They want the resident to put the IV in. He's learning. Oh, you guys, can you see? I don't know if the bruise is coming through, you guys. This was the most painful. This was the most painful. He tries to put the IV in my hand. You can see there's like little, okay, I swear, four times, poke, couldn't get the vein, take it out, poke, couldn't get it, constant, and the pain, and they are slapping my hand to get the veins to come to the surface, and it's hurting, and they're pushing on my hand, on my veins, and I'm laying there, and they're apologizing. Oh, so sorry, Melissa, we can't get the vein. I'm so sorry. And she's yelling for different size gauges of needles. She's like, give me a 20, give me a 22, give me a, and then I can feel things running on my hands, but I'm laying there, right? And I've got my eyes closed because I'm in pain, and I'm trying to breathe through it and trying to remain calm. And all I hear is, can I get some gauze, please? I've got a problem here. And I'm like, oh my God. Great start. And so then she's like, I need a baby IV. You guys, they had to use a baby IV on me because my vein was so small and it kept moving that they had to use a baby IV. Finally, they abandoned this, and you saw how I bruised, and I bruised immediately. And she's like, oh, you're already bruising. I'm like, yeah, I bruise easy. And she's like, okay. So then they went lower. Under here is where they actually put my IV. This is the baby IV they put in. Finally, they got it in. They apologized so much, and I was apologizing because I felt bad. I'm that bad patient whose veins suck. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. They're like, no, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. We're sorry. It was just a whole thing. And then they put the oxygen on me. And they're like, okay, we're just going to give you oxygen. I'm like, okay. And I'm deep breaths. I'm just trying to calm down because the IV was just a nightmare. And you guys, it was horrible. And normally when I've had surgery in the past, they're like, okay, count back from 100, right? And you start counting back. They didn't do that. They were just like, okay, we're going to put you to sleep now. I'm like, okay, that's all I remember. We're going to put you to sleep now. Okay, done. I woke up. That was it. That's all I remember. I woke up in recovery. Now, they had booked the OR for an hour. I don't know how long the surgery actually took, but I woke up in recovery, in and out. Like, I was tired. So I'd wake up, and then I'd fall back asleep. I could hear myself snoring, and I'd wake up and fall back asleep. And there were nurses there all the time monitoring me and everything, and they were monitoring my pain. So when I woke up, my pain wasn't too bad. It was about a 3 or 4. So they were giving me pain medicine, and basically every time they gave me pain medicine, I had to stay there for an extra 30 minutes before they moved me. So they were just checking on my pain level and everything, and they just gave me pain medicine. Like, okay, she just had pain medicine, so we're going to keep her for 30 more minutes. Okay, fine. And thankfully, I wasn't that nauseous. I did wake up a little nauseous, so they did give me something for that. But overall, it wasn't too bad. Then once my pain was kind of under control and stuff, they moved me into my own little room, and they basically, here's your call button. And I was just in that room, and that's where I was. And I pretty much just slept. Like, you still have anesthetic in your system, right? So you just kind of sleep. And everything was fine. Like, they came in, they're like, surgery went well, everything's good. And that was it. And then before you knew it, they brought me some apple juice, and they gave me some Tylenol, and they gave me like all my discharge papers. And then at this point, they called my husband to tell him to come pick me up. And I was discharged by about, I think we were in the car because we had to go to London Drugs to get my prescription, because they did give me a prescription for a narcotic for Dilaudid, which is for pain management. And I think we were in the car at London Drugs around 4:10 p.m. So, my surgery was supposed to be 9:20. They probably actually didn't start it till 10:20, honestly, or 9:40 was my surgery, and they probably didn't start till 10:40. And I was in the car on my way by like 4 o'clock. So it was it was the whole day, but it felt pretty quick. So yeah, so that was it. Went and got my Dilaudid, came home. Pain, honestly, it's been pretty good. It hasn't really gone over a 4. I've been pretty good about taking Tylenol every 4 hours, though, just to make sure we stay on top of the pain. But it's been pretty good. The first night I slept well. I didn't have any issues. I went to sleep. I slept for 10 hours and I was out, probably still because I had anesthetic in my system. Last night, my second night, was a little more uncomfortable. I could not get comfortable. And my back is starting to hurt because it's hard for me to sleep any direction except on my back, and I have back issues. So when I sleep on my back, I get back pain. So I kind of struggled with that a bit last night. But for the most part, my pain management has been pretty good. And I'm trying, like, literally the last 2 days, I've done nothing but sit in my chair and then slept. And I have gotten up because walking is important. Mobility is important. So I have made sure I get up out of my chair and I walk, even if it's just to the kitchen and back, just to get a little bit of mobility in. Yesterday, actually, I had to go in for an eye appointment. And I'm like, ooh, it's the day after surgery. But I'm like, no, I need to get up and move around anyway. So I did go for an eye appointment yesterday, trying to be mobile, trying to keep things moving. On the same token, I'm trying to rest because my husband, he's leaving tomorrow for 2 weeks. So right when I'm recovering, my husband is leaving. No, it's not what you think. He is struggling with this. He's like, I should cancel. I should stay home. But the truth is, he is going on comedy tour. He's already rescheduled this tour once before because I got sick before. And I'm like, no, you cannot cancel, because if you do, they'll never have you back. And he's going on tour to Calgary and Las Vegas. I'm like, you have to go. So I'm doing my best to recover as quick as possible, because it's just going to be me and my 8-year-old daughter for the next 2 weeks. And I gotta say, I'm so proud and impressed with my daughter, because she knows mommy's gonna need help. And this weekend, we've been practicing. She has done the dishes. She has been doing the laundry. She has been making my food. She has making sure I have a blanket and a pillow and taking care of me. And she's been amazing. And I'm so proud of her. So we're going to be fine for the next 2 weeks. We also have tons of help. My neighbors have been awesome. I've got friends who have offered their help and support if I need anything. I updated my daughter's teacher, and she was nice enough. She's making us like a vegetarian casserole, and she asked if I need help from any of the other parents with pickup or drop off. Like, you guys, the support system that I have is something I have never experienced before in my life, and it's amazing. So we're going to be just fine. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this surgery. Is I had it 2 days post-op right now. Now, this is 2 days after. So technically today is the first day that I'm allowed to remove the bandage and have a shower. I am not allowed to soak it. I can't go in a hot tub. I can't have a bath for at least a week until the incision is healed, because we don't want infection. We want to keep it as dry as possible. So I can shower as long as I keep it dry. I'm definitely going to, you can tell, like, my hair, like, it doesn't look too bad, but I mean, I haven't showered in 2 days. So it's time for a shower. But yeah, so I do have this bandage on still from the IV. I'll probably try to take that off. I've been trying to get all the sticky stuff off. It's the worst. It's sticky tape stuff. I'm trying to get that off. Yeah, that's where I'm at with my recovery. I can tell I'm going to go stir crazy. I can't lift anything over 10 pounds for at least 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm already like, oh, there's so much I want to do and I can't do it. And it's driving me nuts a little bit. I'm going to have to practice tomorrow. I got to take my daughter to school. She goes back to school tomorrow. So I am not allowed to take my Dilaudid anymore because Dilaudid is a narcotic and it makes you very tired, and you are not allowed to operate a motor vehicle or heavy machinery when you're on a narcotic. So because I am responsible for taking my daughter to and from school because my husband is out of town, I am no longer allowed to take my Dilaudid. I'm just strictly on Tylenol. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't know if this is too much, but I do want to share with you everything. So I am going to show you my bandage. It's very small, but if things like this make you squeamish or you'd rather not watch it, now would be a good time for you to stop. But honestly, you can't really see too much. Let me just stand up here, and I'm a little sore, so just bear with me as I slowly move, and then I will move you guys. Okay, hang on. Okay, let me shuffle you guys around here. Okay. And I'm going to see if I can lower you a little. Okay. So you'll see, I don't know if you can tell, I've got red dye. This is from where I got sticky stuff too. It's kind of pink on my body. It's because that's what they use to clean you, right? But that's all I have right there, you guys. That little incision. Can you see? That's my belly button, and in there is the incision. That's it. That's all I have. Just one little spot here. And it is a little tender in this area. It's a little sore. That's why I'm wearing like stretchy pants, just to kind of keep things, loose on my belly kind of thing. But that's all I have is that little incision there. So underneath that, there are a couple steri strips just kind of holding the stitches in place. The steri strips should fall off in 7 to 10 days on their own. If not, I can remove them myself. The sutures themselves are dissolvable stitches, so they will dissolve on their own. So they say, hopefully they do. I have had in the past some dissolvable stitches not dissolve. And then if that's the case, you can always just make an appointment with your doctor to get them taken out, or you can take them out yourself. I've done that numerous times. But yeah, so that's kind of my little Wellness Wednesday update on my surgery. So now we're in recovery. We're in recovery phase. I've taken a couple days post-op here just to kind of rest and recuperate. As I start getting stronger, as I start getting my energy back, we are going to focus on recovery. And what that looks like for me is I want to start getting back on my vitamins, my supplements, my minerals, because when you have surgery, most of them you should stop before surgery because they can cause issues with bleeding and things like that. So I stopped all of my supplements before surgery, a couple weeks before actually. So I need to get back into the habit of taking those every day. Also making sure I'm getting enough sleep, enough water, enough fiber, all of those good things. Trying to recuperate also from the holidays of eating junk food and cookies. So I'm trying to get back into eating healthier habits again. So that's kind of where my focus will be for the next few Wellness Wednesdays, I'm sure. So that's where I'm at with everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this little update. Let me know, have you had a hernia repair surgery? Did they put a mesh in for you? How was your recovery? I think my recovery so far is going fairly good. Like I said, the pain's fairly low, usually between a 1 and a 3. That's kind of where I'm trying to keep it with my Tylenol. And pain management is very important, especially in the first week. So that's what I'm focused on. So thank you guys so much for watching this little update. I hope you guys are having a fantastic New Year's, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.